Hey, Kurt here with oldhalloween.com. Oldhalloween.com. We are watching the final, we're going to call this the throes, the very end portion of the Bertoia live auction. So we're streaming it and watching it live, of course, and we're just about to enter the final moments. And the reason I pulled this up, of course, you can see Santa Claus on the page. We're going to see another Santa Claus before we hit the final list, but the final list starts at lot 451 and runs all the way to 490. So it's the last several dozen lots, all antique or vintage Halloween. And I will say what's really interesting about this is this isn't the first, the second, the third, the fourth. I think this is the fifth, what I'm referring to as tranche or set, lot sets within the overall auction. It has been an astounding auction for all kinds of holiday collectors. Of course, you can see the Christmas is representing, Thanksgiving is represented. I believe there were a number of lots that took care of the patriotic kinds of holidays, and of course Halloween and the groups of Halloween, several groups. Dozens upon dozens of incredible rarities that I'm hoping you were able to watch, but just in case you weren't, the great news is I have screen recorded several of them. And of course, you can find the results online at Bertoia Auctions on their website. You can also just go and look at their catalog because it certainly shows everything in detail. But the reason why we like this process is because it shows you in live time, in real time, the combination of those who are physically present at the auction and those who are online and those who are even calling in. You can hear the auctioneer talk about those things, and we can see them on the screen as well and see what the final hammer price is. So all of those things combined together give us a really strong sense of what the market is bearing in terms of the collectibles. All right, so up next we have a Winged Ghoul Crepe Halloween die cut. This is a super rarity, followed by what they list as a Chinaman figural. Looks like maybe a mask or a parade lantern of some sort. A glass jack-o'-lantern candy container, a Halloween piece, some die cuts, a bunch more jack-o'-lanterns. Just a fantastic collection. Okay, here we go. So this is the Winged Ghoul Crepe Halloween decoration. This is a piece that folks are looking for all the time. And when you find it, it usually has what I'm going to call the ears. These are the little ear where the sheet has been pulled up to create ears for the ghoul. Those are usually chopped off, or they're both not usually there or present, or the crepe in the wings is tearing or doesn't open at all. So wow, holy cow. Now I'm regretting the fact that I didn't hit bid, because that Winged Ghoul went for $225. I don't think I've seen it listed on eBay for under $300 or $400, and those were pretty rough versions. So that was a great buy. If you're out there, you bought it, man, thumbs up, because that was fantastic. So this is a figural carnival mask. It says that it is quite large. It says 15 inches wide, but I'm wondering if it's actually 15 inches tall. That hat does seem to stick way up, and my guess is this will not go as high as that large 15-inch figural witch's head, which just a little while ago I was crossing my fingers I could actually compete. I was blown out of the water. It went for $5,000 just a little while ago, and it was a fantastic piece. This is also a super interesting piece. So if you collect carnival masks or carnival or parade style masks or lanterns, this may also fit into your collection. Just gonna go out on a limb and say that, but it's super interesting. Wow, it went for just $950, went for under $1,000. So that was, relative to the other large pieces, that was probably a pretty good buy. Now, for those of you who collect glass, this would have been at least the fourth piece. Let's see, earlier we saw the chauffeur, we saw the full-bodied witch, we saw the bell head, glass jack-o'-lantern head that looks like a bell. In this case, we have the jack-o'-lantern candy container. They tend to be orange or yellow, or yellowish orange, maybe perhaps I should say that, but this one's green. They oftentimes have lost most of their paint. This one seems to have retained most of its paint, and it's an odd color. So it's not surprising to me that it's well above 500. We have seen the yellow or orange versions of this go for well under 500 before. But this one is a rarity, and it's also pretty stinking cool. Not gonna lie, I like greens in early Halloween just because it sort of, they often predate the Wizard of Oz, and for that reason makes it interesting. I like pre-Wizard of Oz green-faced things more than I like post-Wizard of Oz green-faced things, and that's just because I feel like that was a real influence, sort of a tipping, putting one's finger on the scale of creativity with the green Wicked Witch of the West in the Wizard of Oz. But in any event, let's see, we ended up $1,300 for that glass jack-o'-lantern. So here we have a clown costume. Personally, I don't collect costumes. I know some of you probably do, so this seems like an interesting one. I will tell you, in addition to this clown costume, there have also been carnival costumes. There was also an adult devil costume, I believe that's what they called it. So here we have 4 Halloween die cuts, all cats. I love these die cuts. I still have 3 of them, and we decorate with them every year. I no longer have the smaller cat playing the trumpet, and if I recall, that's actually part of a group of musician cats, German musician cats, and that one by itself sometimes brings what we're at right now, $325. So if we plateau there about that price range, someone is getting a heck of a deal, because the small one sometimes brings that just by itself. In this case, if you were winning it at $325, or in this case winning it at $350, in my estimation it would be like paying for the small cat and getting the other 3 for free, and I call that a deal. I had someone ask me once if they thought going to a large auction house like Bertoia was worth it, and the answer clearly is yes, and the answer is yes because there are so many ultra rare pieces that you can find rare piece pickups for very affordable prices, at least relative to, let's say, eBay hammer prices. So I wanted to just get that out there. Here we have Pulp Black Cat candy containers. I haven't been able to budget one of these in for me. I've been collecting a bunch of paper mache, a bunch of German die cuts, a bunch of jack-o'-lanterns, a bunch of games, a few noisemakers, but I have not been able to budget either this particular Pulp Black Cat candy container carrying the candy on its back, or the smaller Orange Witch candy container where she's also carrying the nut cup on her back. For some reason, it's not been a thing I've budgeted in yet. One of these days, perhaps I'll do that. I just haven't done it yet. $425 might seem crazy, but I will tell you that these have been hot. They have been so hot the last couple of years. It's not surprising to me that they ended up going for $425. All right, so I am a fan of cat head lanterns. I love especially the early composition style lanterns. These are always fantastic, and if they are in good shape, they usually go high. Usually, not always, but usually. They almost always go high in auction house auctions like the one that we're watching. This is Bertoia. So, you know, it may hit 1,000, it may stay under 900, not sure. We'll see, but this one's actually in very good shape now. They do tell you that there's been a little restoration work, and that's great. It's good to keep them in working order. Let's see, it ended at 800. Not a bad price. Now that's strange for me to say. I wasn't bidding on it. If you were bidding on it and you didn't get it, perhaps you also thought it was a little high. But I would say a pretty good price outcome. All right, so this is an odd composition clown head lantern, and I will just tell you, I have no idea anything about this particular lantern. So when I flipped through the images like this, I was like, look at that little tiny hole. Can you imagine trying to get a candle in there and lighting it and not burning anything? If it was used at all, and I think that it was, most likely it was well taken care of. It's already nearing $2,000. There we go. We're at the $2,000 mark. That's also not surprising for such a rarity. And I am pretty sure I have never seen this composition clown head. It is clearly very shiny, which means they have some kind of finish over the paint job. But look at the paint job. Pretty incredible. A lot of detail work. Yeah, not surprising at all to me that went for $2,500. Now, candy containers to me are always that sort of odd thing. You don't know how well they're going to do. I will say that I did have some folks reach out to me about a couple of different candy containers in sales ongoing, and this one in particular, which passed, was a Veggie Woman And there was some concern that she looked like she might not be, or portions of her might not be original, or they've been maybe reconstructed. I don't know any of that. So I'm not claiming that I know. People just mentioned that to me. That might be the reason why we actually saw a passing. But look at this. This is a really interesting compo lantern, a carrot head German composition lantern. I have never seen this before. I have no idea what to think about it because I don't have any comps or specs for it. I haven't personally seen it in the early catalogs, but that doesn't mean anything. It could easily be there, and I've just maybe glanced over it. But very interesting looking. And if you like composition lanterns, which I do, or if you like early German lanterns, which I do, it would be an interesting addition to anyone's collection. I don't know if it'll hit 1,000. Oh, it's already at 900. So yeah, check this out. Here we go. We're so close. There we go. We hit 1,000. Do we think it will hit 1,500? Floodgates opened. We were at 1,200. And if you notice right here, this is all floor bidding. So we have competition on the floor. That means not competition from the online auction platform or online bidders, but there are folks on the floor who have eyeballs on this and they want it. They want to own it. And they're already at 1,700. Wow. So, I mean, just think about it. So we passed the Veggie Woman candy container. It couldn't even start at 125. Maybe for the reasons I mentioned, maybe for other reasons, who knows. In this case, the carrot head went for 2,000 and was an unknown but clearly a unique piece by a number of us. Maybe some of you out there already know a great deal about it. Maybe you've seen it at auction before. That is not my experience, and so I wasn't sure where it would land, and it landed at 2,000, which is kind of cool. Very cool to see those kinds of prices realized. Here's a pear head lantern and a largemouth container. Love that pear head lantern. In fact, let's see if we don't hit. We're hitting 400. I'm gonna try to. I won't even accept my bid. Check this out. I can't even get one in edgewise. I'm trying. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop there, and he's just looking at the people on the floor who are bidding. They're competing because they might want the largemouth container too. But if I am there, if I'm in the room, I am focused, hyper focused, laser focused on this pear head lantern because it is a super rarity, because it looks like it's in great shape, including the collar piece. Let's see, small chip on the mouth, replaced inserts, it says. Pumpkin heads is a post-war, yeah. Which there's nothing wrong with that. Post-war is also cool, also very vintage and also very collectible, but that pear piece is super cool. $1,300 it looks like for the pear, and that is a really good price for that pear piece. Here is another Halloween piece, an outfit, not really a costume per se. They're calling it a romper costume. I find that interesting. And we'll just see how this one will do. I feel, if I remember from much earlier in the day, I feel like the adult devil costume, I feel like it probably did pretty well. I'll have to go back and look at the hammer price on it, but wasn't expecting that. Definitely wasn't expecting that. All right, we're going to come back in a couple of moments, and we're going to check in and see how the tambourines and the party pieces are doing. All right, so we just saw the romper piece sell for $475, another Halloween dress pair sell for $325. Here are 4 Halloween themed tambourines. Tambourines have also been fairly hot the last couple of years. And it looks like that group went for $225. I think that's a pretty good price for that particular grouping. The Cats tambourines seems like it sells pretty well. This is a grouping of Halloween party cups and plates. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes when we are watching or begin to watch the Pulp Witch candy container, which I mentioned a second ago when I was talking about the Black Cat pulp candy containers. Oh, and we just missed it. Wow, it sold super fast. It actually sold for $225. You see a little Pulp Witch candy container here. This little Pulp Witch candy container sold for $225. It sold very, very fast. Now we have these Pulp Cat and Pumpkin Jack-o'-lanterns. They're at $150. That seems to be a pretty good price, especially for this particular cat jack-o'-lantern. The other thing to note coming up is we have some candy containers. We also have a good collection of German die cuts. And one of these days I'll talk about my theory about German die cuts. I don't think they are actually truly die cut, but they are very cut edge. I think that's the reason they call them that. They're actually pressed, but they're gorgeous and they're coming up. There's also some interesting stuff happening in just a little while. So we'll come in and cut out. What I'll probably do is we'll watch through these two cat containers, which are great and interesting, especially the orange one, very interesting. 475 currently looks like the tallest one is 6.5, and those just sold for 475. 475. Now, because of the crows here, I'm going to have to put a bid in here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. All right. They've already outcompeted me. And oh, actually, also the bat down here. The bat and the crows are super tough. Love these little witch heads. Now, the walking witches are very common, but this center strip right here, not so much. The crows have fetched quite a price, and if I recall, there are 2 or 3 different versions of the crow, and that group brought $550. That's actually a pretty good price. I think you could probably work that price out, selling off just the crows and bats, and then have the other 3 pieces for free. Just my thought, if that's the way that you are so inclined. But currently, the market will bear a little bit more for those center pieces, for the bat, for the crows, followed closely by maybe by the witch head, depending on the the marketplace or the platform where you're selling. Here's a Halloween cowbell noisemaker. We'll see if it sticks at under 100. It does. It sells for 90. That is a pretty good price. Earlier this year, long before the Halloween season, we watched 1 or maybe 2 of these sell at a higher price, but this one in particular, again, this is the Halloween cowbell noisemaker I'm talking about, went for under 100. My guess is it might have had a little bit of rash here and there, might have had some oxidation, and some folks do shy away from that, especially on the bells and the tin horns. Those are the ones that people tend to be a little bit shy about. But I couldn't quite make it out. I didn't really scroll through all the images. Perhaps you'll want to do that to see why it sold for 90 when it has brought well over 200 in the past. We have, in just a moment, we will have not just noisemakers, papers, cups, a large cow head, but we're also going to be getting an entire collection of cat on the fence Halloween jack-o'-lanterns, and we definitely want to see how that lot does. So we'll be back in just a moment to check it out. All right, so we're finishing up this child's Halloween cat and mouse dress. It just sold for 400. Here we go. Here is the cat on a fence, a set of 4 of these in the lot. There are 3 that are black. There's 1 that's orange. Let's see. I'm going to just guess that I could probably, wow, that would be surprising. I'm going to hit it a few times here because those individually will sell for $225. It would be unusual if I could land 4 of them for even $500. So I want to be careful. This will be my last. Maybe I'll leave it there. Let someone have it. But look at that. You get 4 for $475. Those are actually in very good shape. Wow. Somebody who was in the room. They just snagged 4 cat on the fence jack-o'-lanterns for under $500. 4 of them. They will sell 2 of them and make a profit. And they'll still have 2 that will all be icing, collection or icing. So just, again, if you're asking if sometimes the large auction houses have deals, I'm here to tell you, especially if you sell, let's say on Etsy or eBay, or you just sell in a collector group, the answer is yes, that you can both be a collector, but you can also be a seller or a combination of those things. The Halloween cowbell noisemaker that we were talking about earlier, here's another one that just sold. The one that just sold didn't have a rash, didn't have any issues, seemed to be in very good shape. The litho was nice on it. The cat was fantastic, $300. And that's a pretty good price. We'll be back in just a minute, especially when we get to lot 490, which is the last lot in the auction. Actually, I'm going to hold off because we have lot 484, and we're looking at pumpkin candy containers. These are post-war candy containers, but I've kind of learned the hard way. They are collectible. And I say learn the hard way because I think I sold one of these for $5 2 years ago. I had no idea that they were that collectible. They're very collectible. That lot just brought $125, and that was a deal. So just a heads up, you can always be finding deals. Here we have two Mamas. These are not the Halloween versions, but sometimes people roll them into their collection. Shakers, a couple of jack-o'-lanterns, and you got a squeeze right here. Let's see, I don't know if the close-up of the head on the squeeze box, or the squeaker here. Oh, yeah, he's cool. That's a great squeaker. Now, he wasn't always advertised as a Halloween squeaker, but you can advertise with them. And then we have the party hats, a whole bunch of party hats. We don't know how they're going to do. We'll have to see, I guess. And then I'm gonna fold this up and be back in a couple of minutes with I'll probably turn them back on at the Halloween picks, and we'll finish especially with that final crate group because it is a fantastic, fantastic pulp-based group. We're at the end. This is the next to last group, and it just sold. The picks sold for 50 bucks. Here's the last group. This is a great group. I'm gonna have to put a little bit in here. I doubt I'll win. This is the very last lot of the auction, and it has three pieces that are a little bit tough. We have the witch. She's fantastic. The witch candy nut container. She's fantastic, and the cat. That cat has sold by itself this year for just under $400. So if this lot goes under, I'm going to just say under $600, it's going to be a steal for a collector. Now, from a resale perspective, it might be a little different story. I think there's very little margin on these pieces right now, at least in the collector community, because they are hard. People are really seeking them out. $650, see, but they are very, very cool. Also, it's the very last item group in the auction. So some folks are recognizing, oh, I had more in my budget. I can buy something else, and so they're bidding it at $850. Now, I'll also pause and say, if this gets to 1,000, well, maybe I won't be surprised. Look at this. So this cat is going to give you a little value. This piece, the Walking Witch, this is the orange caped version. She has a brown caped version also. And you don't see this one as much. I don't think this might be a scarcer version of that Pulp Witch. And of course you have the orange nut cup Walking Witch as well. I'm a little surprised at $1,100, but it's very cool, especially if you have the rare pieces, especially if you have the hot pieces. In this case, you have all of them bundled into one lot together. So whoever you are out there who's about to win this for $1,200, congratulations, because these don't come around all that often. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to recoup your investment. All right, that is it. That is it for Bertoia. Thanks again so much from oldhalloween.com. I'm Kurt at oldhalloween.com, and we have spent the day watching Bertoia in shifts. We've watched maybe five different sections of the Bertoia auction, all antique, all vintage Halloween, and it has been a hoot. Of course, as we end, I need to also say, make sure you go to www.oldhalloween.com. Check out what we post each day. We share a lot of bookmarks about things that we see, that we observe, that we spot. Also historical pieces, especially high price points that you might not have thought about. We also have a resource section that gives you samples of catalogs for you to peruse for your own research. And we have price guides for a number of different subgenres within the antique and vintage Halloween collectibles marketplace. So something that you'll want to pay attention to, that you'll want to catch or capture. Feel free to email me if you have questions or if you have suggestions on what we might want to add to our programming, or maybe resources we could add over into our website and make it truly useful, truly functional for your needs. Up in the very near future, I'm going to have an unboxing of some auction winnings. I think you're going to really enjoy that, so be watching for that as well. Excuse me. We'll have all of that up on YouTube. See you soon.